This episode of Cognitive Dissonance is brought to you by AdamandEve.com. Just go to AdamandEve.com and type in glory. That's GLORY at checkout, and you'll get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago, this is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 460.
461. It's because that's the next one. Sorry. Bye.
Coming to you from the future, recorded in the past, pre-impeachment. I'm hoping that when this airs...
Oh, I see what you mean.
That will now be like, whoa, look how wrong I was. Oh, my God.
Like, oh, man.
I'm going to listen to my own show and be like, I was so naive.
Yeah. Man, I'll take it.
I know.
I'll take it. I'll take all the notes from people who are like, you guys are so stupid. Impeachment happened last week. I'll take every single one of those.
Yes.
Every single one of those.
Send your future past hate mail.
Oh, gosh. You think it's going to happen? You think they're gonna impeach him?
Oh, Lord, no. I do think that the House will impeach.
Yeah. If they decide to do it?
I think the House will impeach.
Do you think they'll go through it?
I think that strategically it would be a good decision to do. I don't know that they'll do it.
Yeah.
But I think if Pelosi gets pushed far enough, then yeah, she'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
I think she's probably counting on like she fucking stonewalled the shit out of W and she'll stonewall the ever-loving shit out of Trump. Like she's come out and said, like she's unequivocal in her statement. She's like, there won't be a wall.
Yeah.
There will not be a wall.
Wow.
Like she doesn't say like, I think we can oppose the wall or we have enough votes to defeat it.
Well,
She's like, no, there's no wall.
They already voted on it in the House. And this is being recorded ahead of time. So this happened today or yesterday. There was a vote where they said that they were not going to approve the state of emergency that the president put forward.
Yeah. They've
already voted. They've already said no.
Pelosi's proven herself that she is not somebody to be fucked with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she is from a district that will vote her in every time.
Oh,
the more
God.
she does this, the better off she is. The better off she is.
This is just good for her.
Yeah.
When your body burns this stuff with no carbohydrates, what happens is you build up the clinkers.
This story's from Right Wing Watch. Pat Robertson, LGBTQ people will destroy everything to ensure society legitimizes, and I love this, their weird way of doing sex.
That's my favorite is how he talks about it. He's like,
I know.
All these gays doing the sex.
Doing sex.
That's amazing.
You don't need a verb. Sex can be a verb.
Yeah. You should definitely grammar police this guy.
I'm sorry. That's just funny.
No, I mean, seriously, though. Like, he deserves it. He deserves it. No matter how you make fun of Pat Robertson, it's deserved it.
Are you doing sex? Well, I was, but now I'll never have a boner again.
Just
Pat.
look at that. Just look at that right now. Jesus Christ.
There is nothing...
He's desiccating in front of your face. Like, he's deflating and losing moisture. Like, he's been mummified.
His ears have gotten so big, they're starting to fold over. They're starting to like... I'm not even kidding.
They're like
either.
Puppy ears. They're soft and pink. You just pick them up. You're like, aren't you my good little Pat, aren't you?
There's Pat Robertson should never be talking about sex. There's nothing hard left on him. His bones.
Even his cartilage. his firm cartilage when he was a kid is now liquefying.
Everything is a droop.
He's the guy from RoboCop. I love that falls into. He's like, oh man, he gets run over and he turns into liquid. He's somehow liquid. How do you get him to be liquid?
I love that he's alive.
That doesn't make sense.
Like,
I know he's like
changes.
all functioning. He's still like functioning and he's a liquid.
What help could he be hoping for?
I know, like, what are you going to do? Put baking soda on him to stop the reaction? What could you possibly do to him?
They just take like a high school anatomy skeleton and shove it into him.
He's like a boneless swing.
Somebody just dips him in some blue cheese.
That's what he got dipped into. When he ran, he's a boneless. He's like, I'm covered in buffalo sauce. Help me.
Like all the other henchmen are like, hey, what happened to Boneless Joe?
They're sticking celery in the celery that's on the side of the carton. And it makes the same sound when you break it too as a bone. So, oh, Jesus Christ.
God, that movie.
Oh, God, I love that movie so much.
I saw that movie once when I was 13, and I still remember that scene because it was so awesome.
I haven't seen the more recent one that they came out with, but man, that
There's
movie,
a redo?
Yeah, they redid it, rebooted it.
See it.
When I was a kid, I must have saw it, maybe 10 or 15 times as a kid. And I just remember like that whole, like there's a whole scene in it where there's like a fake, they keep on going to the TV. So they show a fake news report. Then they show a fake sitcom where the guy's like, I'll buy that for $1. And he's always got like he's a bald guy who's got two like busty women next to him or whatever. Yeah. And then they show like, they keep showing the commercial for the car. There's like a specific car that like gets like 1 mile to the gallon. And stuff. It's actually really funny political commentary. Like it's a really clever political commentary. And I remember I love that movie so much. I
kind of want to rewatch it.
Yeah, I loved it as a kid. I don't know. And again, I haven't watched it in like 10 or 15 years. So I don't know I don't know how it holds up. But when I was a kid, I loved that fucking movie.
I still remember that because it was my 13th birthday. My dad let me rent a rated R movie. And I rented RoboCop. And so that was the first rated R movie I saw. And I was so excited to see it. And like all my buddies like were in the house. And we're like,
that's kind of breaking the rules. I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's not really because your dad is there probably. So
yeah.
You're allowed to take a 5-year-old if you're old enough, you could take a 5-year-old to a rated R movie if you wanted to.
You can do anything as long as the parents said. You can even not vaccinate your kids. Like you can do any stupid thing you want that harms your children.
I took my niece when she was 13 to see the Joan of Arc movie with Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
She gets at the beginning of that movie, somebody gets stabbed to a door and then raped.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my 13-year-old niece is sitting next to me like, I shouldn't have brought you here. It's like, somebody's getting raped right now.
Like, yeah, ask for another fucking pack of snow caps and see what happens to you.
And what do you want for Christmas? Not that.
You ask for Twizzlers, you'll take red vines if I tell you that you're taking. I don't
want that to happen to anybody ever again. Is there any way we can agree?
Right,
all right. So here's Melty Pat.
The incredible thing about the homosexuals is they are willing to destroy
each other's vages when they're scissoring. They're just able. I just love that scissoring thing that they. Or is that what we're talking about?
That probably
they're willing to destroy it,
right?
Or just like wreck the rectum. Like what are we talking about here?
Lives and destroy the whole fabric of society, so long as they and their weird way of doing sex is legitimized. That's what they want, and they will.
Weird way of doing sex.
How are you doing the sex?
How are they? Like, why is like?
How are you doing the sex, guys?
Is it weird?
Is it weird?
Because like, what if you're having like weird hetero sex? Does that destroy the fabric of society?
Well, it may destroy the fabric of your bedspread, but I don't know about the rest of the fabrics. I mean, like other fabrics. I mean, if you were to say put that fabric protector on it, you should be okay.
Like, oh my God, it's just the fabric of our lives. It's like the touch, the feel, it's all ruined. We should not have done that.
The feel of Satan.
We should have put down the rubber sheets first.
The rubber sheets. Those are awesome. With the Crisco, the rubber sheets of the Crisco, you jump on the bed and you just go whoop right off the fucking thing.
Well, to take away everything, they'll destroy marriage, they'll destroy families, they'll destroy in this case, the foster children.
This has no impact whatsoever on their ability to be a parent. That's what people, I just fucking do not get this argument at all when they're like, they're destroying the ability of, but no, it doesn't do anything. Like my entire young life, I never once worried or cared about how my parents had sex. Never once occurred to me. In fact, I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to know about it. I'll tell you what, I still don't want to know about it. So how could that possibly affect a child?
It would be weird if you were like, oh man, my dad was a good dad, but like sometimes he gave it to mom in the butt. And that now my childhood is well, it's not a thing we should ever know.
Yeah.
Like privacy, like we should have private lives. And it's like, who gives a shit? Like, who cares? Like, kids want to be like safe and loved and protected and cared for. And like at the end of the day, they don't care like what you're doing behind closed and locked doors. They don't give a shit about any of that. And Pat's like, oh, it's destroying marriages. Well, not mine.
Yeah.
Like this, like not mine.
Never care about it.
It's fine. And like not families. Like, how is my family impacted? Right? Like, because these guys' argument is always that like hetero families are damaged by gay marriage.
Yeah.
Right? But I've never understood that argument. And now they're saying like, well, LGBTQ people will be able to adopt. They're pushing to be able to adopt. They're fighting against laws that would prevent them from adopting because those laws are bigoted and hateful. It's like, wow, what about the foster kids? Well, nobody wants them.
Yeah, nobody wanted them in the first place.
They're the puppy nobody took home.
Yeah.
Right?
They're at the shelter. Like literal shelter.
Yeah, right.
The no-kill shelter, but still.
I mean, hopefully.
Depends on the shelter.
Not on purpose.
If it's a Catholic shelter, who knows?
You don't know.
Might get thrown out of a fucking 4-story window.
Right, it's true.
Yeah.
It's literally true.
Yeah. The person, I said something a few minutes ago when I said it doesn't affect them at all. It's literally no effect whatsoever. And that's not true, because openly gay parents have to deal with people like this and their mindset poisoning their entire flock and making them hate you for something that they have no stake in, no stake whatsoever in. It's poison like this that ruins society. This is the society ruiner, not the other thing. The other thing doesn't matter. That should never matter, but we're making it matter because it goes against our centuries, millennia old book.
Right.
That's the big deal. That's the big problem.
Willing to tear down the entire edifice in order to have the majority of people recognize the way they do sex.
Wait, I have to recognize the way they do sex?
No, I mean, like, recognize it from pictures or like from a silhouette. Like, okay, that's a blowjob. I can tell. They're like,
every
recognize
single
it.
Rorschach test. Like, two dudes fucking, two dudes fucking, two dudes fucking, two dudes fucking, two dudes fucking.
You gotta recognize it. All right, I recognize it. Now put it away.
Yeah.
Why?
Do they have to be?
Who's making me watch?
Do they have to be recognized like Nancy Pelosi had to recognize Donald Trump when he came in to give the State of the Union? Like, they have to be recognized.
The floor recognizes anal.
Yeah.
That's anal.
The floor does recognize anal because sometimes you spill on the floor.
Or you're just like looking from across the room like, is that a blowjob? What? Hey, come over here. It's been a long time since I've seen.
Do you know? It's been since before I was married. Come on over here.
I know him, but not him.
He's got one droopy fucking eye. Look at this.
He's falling apart.
God, he's such a mess.
When he leans to the side, no kidding. When he leans to the side, the side he's leaning toward, that jowl is so pronounced. It bulges out more because gravity is like, I got this.
He's so loose.
I know. It's just like, imagine if you were so jowly that turning your head to the side like a confused dog would make that side of your head start to slough off at a higher.
He's like one of those old rubber bands you pick up and you stretch it and it just stays there.
Yeah, right?
And you're like, oh, this thing's dry rotted.
Oh, you're like a hair tie that went through the laundry. Like.
The way they do sex, that's what it amounts to. And 1%, ladies and gentlemen, get it, 1% of the country, from what we understand, are lesbian.
1%?
2% are homosexuals.
So 2% then. Is that what we're saying?
Because lesbian is
because homosexual is the bigger Venn diagram than the lesbian.
Yeah, but
diagram.
he's like, look, there's only 1% of lesbians, so let's not ruin anything there, guys. All right?
Even if it is,
that's like 2 naked chicks.
Even if it is 3%, what is that? 9 million people.
Well, no, who cares about 9 million people?
It's less than immigrants.
It's less than the Jews in the Holocaust.
It's less than the illegal immigrant population.
That's
There's
not
11
even
of those.
It's not even one Hillary victory.
And that is all. And yet that 2% and 1% are taking charge of the rest of us because they're so vocal and so authoritative, and they apparently dominate these legislative bodies.
Well, I only dominate them if they fucking deserve it, okay? Get down on your knees.
Someone's got to be in charge or nothing's happening here, okay?
They're like dog walking in on a collar, fucking Mitch McConnell with his giant fucking chin.
He just slips out of the collar because it doesn't have a proper neck.
Right?
It just sloughs.
He pulls his head back into his body and the collar just falls down like a turtle. He just
It's like walking a greyhound. This isn't. The head is all small. The neck is all big.
It's more like walking a pug.
Yeah.
I think if Christians begin to speak out and insist.
Begin.
Oh, I know.
Begin.
Gosh,
Like,
Tom, if one of these Christians stood against gay marriage, think where we'd be.
if only somebody would obsess over what other men are doing with their balls. Like,
That if some politician goes along with the gay agenda, that they're going to be voted out of office. And once they get that message,
well, stop and think about that. That means that even though the homosexuals in your calculations amount for 3% of the people, that the rest of the people who agree with an agenda that is friendly to the LGBTQ community are of such number that they're politically valuable, which means most people agree with the LGBTQ, as you put it, agenda, right? Which is not being shitty.
I think what he's trying to say here is that he's saying, like, look, if we came together, if our group came together and really focused as single issue voters on this particular topic, we would then show these people. But since this is a low fucking standard for a lot of people, I mean, this really is, unless you're fucking 70 years old, nobody cares about this anymore, right? Like, no, you start talking about millennials, start talking to millennials about this. I would be hard pressed. And it's not that I don't think you can find an anti-gay like millennial. I just don't think that they are nearly you could easily find a truckload of anti-gay 70-year-olds.
Right.
But you're going to have a real hard time finding a truckload of anti-gay millennials. That just seems empirical to me. If you can, look, if there's I'm sure there's going to be anti-gay groups, but not nearly as
vociferous as they were numerous. Yeah.
So I just feel like the reason why, even if you are a straight Republican, even if you are like straight up like a hardcore Republican, and there's plenty of millennials that are in that boat, they don't care. This is like one of those things, like, when you rate it 1 to 5, they got to be rating this a 1 or a 2.
Yeah,
why would they care?
Everybody, it's so funny because like there are so many things Pat Robertson does to show his age, like wake up and watch and put his fucking skin suit on, right?
Exactly. That's climb into another human,
right?
Sacrifice a virgin.
And this is just one of those things where it's like the world's moved on, and you haven't, because you're a million.
Yeah.
they'll start saying, well, we want to listen to the majority of the people in our society.
And the rap music and the rock and rolls. Soon they're going to be doing the jitterbug.
Until they do, that small minority is going to be dominating everything we do in every aspect of our lives.
What aspect of my life is affected by, like, the fact that gay people can do stuff now? Like, I'm trying to think of one moment of my day-to-day life, one single solitary second of my day-to-day life as a fucking cis hetero dude. Try to think of, like, one. Can you think of any moment of your life that is affected?
I mean, if I were to watch maybe like RuPaul's Drag Race, then I would be paying attention to gay people or something like that. But I don't know. Like,
you could choose to bring some like gay culture into your life.
Right. But other than that, I can't think of anything that it would be. It would certainly be dominating. Look, I'd actually be kind of open to being able to pick out my own suit and tie without asking my wife if they match. You know, I would be open to having a little fashion sense of a gay guy once in a while. That would help me out.
If I could get the LASIK version of just one queer eye, I'd be okay with that.
Single queer eye.
Like, if I just get like...
It's your third queer eye.
I mean, it's like, maybe I could turn my brown eye into a queer... Wait, no, that would go too far.
My one-eyed queer monster.
Environmentalism has become a religion, or has become their their reason for being. You know, the old joke that a lot of environmentalists are like watermelons. They're green on the outside and pink on the inside.
This story comes from DeadState.org. Young Earth creationist to AOC. Hell is the only form of climate change you need to worry about. I love this.
Gotta say, Cunningham, it's pretty good. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's a good one.
It's not bad. Yeah.
That's a good one. So he's saying, like, here he's tweeting. You know, he's tweeting. So
yeah, and this is our world now, Tom. Where we read tweets. Where where tweets have power now. So I just want to go ahead.
You said that just to hurt me.
Yeah, no, go ahead and read it.
I know that you said that just to hurt me. I
didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
You said it to hurt me, and it worked. That's the thing. You didn't let me finish because and it worked.
Continue.
Is the
Whenever
part.
You're ready. There's a tweet.
It's not an acceptable way to communicate.
You need to read these two tweets linked together. It's almost 500 characters.
Oh, this is literally the worst. Oh, we've ruined the whole thing. Here's what he wrote.
The whole world is garbage.
It's just this shit, man. It's just shit.
It's just garbage.
Oh my God, let me read what somebody tweeted. I can't even say that word and pretend that word means a serious thing's going to happen. It sounds juvenile. It sounds like an infantile, stupid fucking way to communicate.
Do you remember? I went to a podcasting convention. This was when we were doing Everyone's a Critic. It was our 5th or 6th show. And we recorded, and we were recording, and I was in San Bernardino, and I went to this podcast convention. I came back, and we were talking before we started recording, and I said, I just found out about this thing called Twitter.
I remember
And you were like,
this.
What is it? And I said, it's 140 characters. Like, what the fuck would you use it for?
I still don't know what
And what's amazing is even though we're a decade later, Twitter's been around for a decade since, and you're just like, I still don't have a use for this.
What about if I yell a sentence at the world? That's how I feel like Twitter. It's like, I yelled a sentence. Why did you do that?
What's crazy to me is I've been in a couple of Twitter arguments in the past year. And both times I've said something quippy. Like one time I said something quippy recently, and I thought it was a really good message. I thought it was really funny. And the guy got super butthurt about it and came back and was like real shitty. And then another time I thought it was going to be over pretty quickly by pointing out the severe flaws that were very simply pointed out. And instead, when I got back was like a page. And so then I went to my computer and not on Twitter, on a regular Word document, typed out my thoughts and said, I'm really sorry I'm going to do this to you, but I'm going to tweet bomb you because I can't communicate like this. And I just fucking posted 40 tweets in a row that had my thoughts in them because you wanted me to expand. Here we go. I'm going to expand, but I can't do it here.
Yeah.
Because it's just not, like, I think the only thing it's good for is, like you say, like, if I have a funny quip, I think it's funny. Like, I think there are funny tweets. Sure. I think you can be funny and tweet, but I don't know substance wise, and I see people doing it all the time. They get into arguments and there's a back and forth and it's a fire back and forth, and I hate it.
It feels like if I took out a billboard and just put it up, and then you got mad, and so you took out a billboard going the other way, and you put it up that refutes my billboard, and then we're driving down the expressway.
We need to do this.
Reading a refutation of.
We need to do this and turn it into tweets, like put little tweets out there,
little Twitter eggs,
like
saying
little Twitter eggs saying the stuff. That would be amazing.
Like it makes me feel crazy. Like we should converse and like this isn't how we do any of this.
Even Facebook's better because Facebook at least you can. Now the problem I think that you run into when you argue on Facebook and you argue via email is sometimes people they try to win via wall of text, right? So what they'll do is they'll shit out just this fucking 17 paragraphs worth of stuff, and then they make all their points. They make every single point. They don't refute anything you said, but they just make every single point. And then if you try to just cover one, they go, well, you didn't address any of my others. So there's like this weird thing that can happen there, which can't, I don't think, happen on Twitter. Although if you just vomit out a bunch of shit, it kind of does.
Yeah, I guess like it's also like it's like you said, like the problem like is the crushing pointlessness of it because it's like so like on such rare occasion does anybody do people come to something other than an underdeveloped consensus. And so I'm like, well, we still don't agree, but then we spend a lot of time not agreeing.
We spend a lot of time doing it,
right? And I'm like, and like if you and I have had disagreements and we have them. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that point, but I still feel differently. And then we walk away and it's totally different.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody be like, well, here's all my points. Well, here's all my points. And we spent the afternoon doing that. And I changed my mind.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. But it is for shooting quips at people.
Yeah.
Which is
right.
what Can Ham does here.
Yeah. So here's what the ham sandwich says. Oh, the hamster. Oh, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, I think he'd eat his young.
I think he'd put himself up his own butt.
He could hide one in his fucking craters.
He is a hideously looking dude, by the way.
He's a monster.
Like, there's like some people that you're just like, acid attack would improve that. And that's one of those guys.
Yeah, just exfoliate him. Like, he'd be fine. All right, well, here's what Ken Ham fucking tweeted. He tweeted the Bible. While the earth remains seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. And he says, as the promise...
What? Wait, what?
Well, as long as there's an earth, there's going to be seasons, day and night, and sometimes there'll be food.
I will say that, we're shaking out those seasons right now.
Yeah,
we're doing our best.
We're doing smoothing it.
We're doing
into
our best.
Flat.
We're doing our best.
Summer.
Right now, they're very
aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive seasons.
Yeah,
but they will de-aggressify as the seasons as the temperature gets up. Because you won't be able to tell the difference between winter and summer.
It's just all going to be summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
basically,
it's endless summer.
And then
it's like a pop song.
And the parts of the world that already have endless summer are basically going to be an easy bake oven.
Yeah. Those would be the place that you can just like fire clay bricks out in the open. Yeah.
That's Mars now.
Exactly.
He says, as this promise comes from God, I will adamantly stand by it! Exclamation. Remember, Al Gore's climate predictions failed, but God's word doesn't change and never fails.
I think aren't Al Gore's climate predictions even worse? Aren't they worse now?
Yeah,
than they were?
I think fail, like in the sense that he was not pessimistic enough.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Like when you failed because you're like, we might be able to do something about it. Oh, Al, that's so, you know what? Go back to growing your Ted Kaczynski beard and update your PowerPoint or whatever.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're going to fuck this thing over super hard. Yeah. This whole like idea that like, well, you can't have climate change. I love the idea that you're going to look at reality as it is happening and it is measurable and be like, well, but it's not happening because God said it wouldn't. And God is never wrong. And it's like, this would be a proof that your God is wrong.
Yeah.
The things that we are experiencing that are, like, if you can't have it both ways, you can't be like, well, God's not wrong, so reality isn't occurring.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's backwards.
It's very consistent with our world now, though. You looking out at the world and saying, this is demonstrably happening. And people saying, no, it's not.
I know.
That's very consistent with the rest of the world. And climate change is just one of those pieces. And I think it was one of the first pieces that people just clearly did not want to agree with. They didn't want to agree with. And I want to stop for a second and talk about what the fucking big deal is on the other side. Because I mentally can't get to the part where we say climate change isn't real. But even just to be on the safe side, we shouldn't do anything about it, right? Because, we talk about industry, right? You talk about industry. Yeah, maybe one industry starts to lose, but industry is always going to be there to make sure that, like solar and wind, and you have to build all that. You have to build all the infrastructure for all that. So that's all jobs. Now, yeah, they're not gas jobs, but there are jobs, right? Those other people will start getting other jobs, and these jobs will be very lucrative, and people will want those jobs. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense.
I'm right there with you because, like, what you hear is like, well, if we do something about climate change, it's going to cost a lot of money. And I always think like, okay, all right. So someone will spend that. And I'm not trying to be simple. I'm really not.
Yeah.
But then I think like, okay, well, somebody will spend that money.
Yeah.
And then that money will go into the economy to the people who they spent it on.
Yeah.
Right? Am I crazy?
Where does it go? It's not like we're burning it.
Right. It's not, well, we got to fix climate change. We'll burn a pile of money.
Yeah,
That'll
just... Yeah, we'd have to. It's not like we're asking people to knock off half the earth and shove it into the sun.
Yeah.
Right? These aren't big asks. We're not asking for people to sacrifice children. We're not asking for people to, I don't even know. Like, I can't even think of something that we're just like so not interested in doing. When it comes to climate change, we have this thing like where people push back so hard. No, it's stupid. It's a stupid thing. It's stupid. It's stupid. And you're just like, okay, but even if I'm wrong, which I'm not, clearly not wrong from the science, I'm not wrong. Even if I'm wrong, what was the harm? We stopped digging into the earth and pulling out fossil fuels, and now we're just using renewable energy, which is demonstrably better for us. Like, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like, and even if it isn't better for us, right? Even if you think, CO2 is the way to go, you know what I mean? Even if it's not, why don't I understand?
CO2 powered.
I don't even understand why we're against it. I don't get why. I just genuinely don't. I don't understand what the opposite argument is, other than it's a waste of time, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
But I don't think anybody's saying it's a waste of time. I think they're saying like, well, the industries we're all in now won't make as much money. And I hear you. Like, well, then other ones will make that.
Or those industries will learn to diversify.
Right.
And they will stop doing that.
It's baffling to me. It's like when there's like a hurricane or something, and like all this shit gets ruined, and that sucks super bad. Don't get me wrong. But then the other side of that is we don't just leave it ruined, and then like we're like, unless it's New Orleans, you know, like then
we're okay with that.
You know, we come in and rebuild it, and then there's jobs involved there where contractors have a job to build a house. Now, granted,
sure.
Like but like, so it's not a zero-sum thing where it's like, well, if we work on the environment, everybody in a coal plant will get fired. Sure, yeah, but we'll build a solar panel plant, right? Like it will have to build the other thing. It's not like it's like, well, we're getting rid of fossil fuels and replacing them with hopes and dreams. That's what we're gonna power the earth.
Or we're canceling flights. We're canceling flights, right?
Yeah,
we're saying there's no more flights because that's, I think, what the scare is, right? Is that they're saying we're going to cancel all the flights. I think what I think everybody who is on the environmentalist side will say is like, look, let's just stop using gas for all of it. Yeah. Let's start changing our ways so that we can start replacing all these other powers with different powers. Do we still have to fly around using jets because we just can't find a way to power something that can take us through the air with a different alternative fuel source? Then yeah, maybe we still have to use jets. Maybe that's what we're using. Maybe that's the one thing we use.
Right.
But if you can power those big fucking giant boats that are out in the middle of the ocean with solar power instead, or in some other ways, you're using batteries that are powered on land through wind power, and then they push them through the ocean or whatever, and then you just have diesel fuel for reserves. You're like a big giant Prius out there or whatever. I think, can't we just start doing that? Like, I just don't know I don't know why we got to throw the fucking brakes on it.
Well, because we're simple, and like all serious solutions always have a diversified solution.
Yeah.
And it's more complicated
and we're
than,
simple.
I don't know, light a dinosaur on fire and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's and please don't send me an email that it's not dinosaurs.
It's plants.
I know.
It's plankton.
It was a joke
Fish
for
from the
fossil fuel.
Yeah.
Don't send me that email.
I want to get back to his second tweet here, Tom.
I will kill myself.
Hold on, let me read this one. But the climate change AOC really needs to be alarmed about is the one coming when she and everyone else will stand before God. And then he puts up a dumbass quote about how everybody's going to stand in front of God. I want to say here, what he's mad about is that she was talking about not having kids. And this is actually something that popped up in a big feed, right? Now, I'm a child-free individual. I'm one of, I think I'm one of maybe out of my close friends, I'm one of 3 couples that are child-free. All the other child-free couples that I knew now have children, right? Mm-hmm. So they have 1 child apiece. And you were the first person I knew closely to have children. But you had 2 kids. You just had 1 for a while, and then you had 2 kids, right? So, but like most of the people I know have kids. They have a kid, well, a kid mostly. And I know a couple of child-free couples, and I'm one of the few child-free couples I know. So I relate to what AOC has to say, which is, I recognize that the more people I put here, the worse off the planet's going to be. Sure. I just recognize, right. I think that is manifest, right? And I think that everyone should recognize that is manifest, that we don't need to do anything. I mean, you're just going to have less resources if you have more people. That I shouldn't have to explain that to you in some way or prove that to you, right? Like that should be evident. So But she basically says that out loud, like basically says that's why people are wondering if they should have kids, whether millennials should have kids. And everybody spun her words around to no one should have any more kids. Everybody has spun her little video around into, and I watch this montage about it on Fox News. No one should have kids. No one should. Now I guess we shouldn't have kids anymore, huh? Oh, I guess none of us should have kids. And then Tucker Carlson's like, oh, look at me. I'm AOC. I don't think anybody should have kids. And, so they basically just straw manned her argument, just spun it all around. But it's obvious that if you want to try to save the planet, we need to cut down on people. Because people are the ones that are fucking it up. It's not like there's too many turtles, right? That's not the problem.
There's some turtle like working in a coal plant somewhere, like
riding on a dinosaur.
It's turtles all the way down, Joe.
But they are upset about her and her stance on saying people are wondering if they should have children.
Yeah, it's so funny because there's a segment of people that are real. Don't tell me I can't have more kids. Oh, okay. All right. You don't want to hear anybody else's commentary about the size of your family?
Yeah.
Well, it works the reverse too. If somebody chooses to have no kids or what, like, oh, it's selfish to only have one kid. Oh, who are they going to play with? Oh, it's a bad, oh, it's selfish of you to just have no kids. Like nobody, like culturally, like nobody wants to be told what we can and can't do. We don't like that.
Yeah.
And particularly when it comes to the sizes of our families. Like we don't like that.
Yeah.
So like it pushes a hot button for people when there's even a commentary. And the problem is that they're misreading the point of her comment, right? The point of her comment isn't like, I have things to say about the sizes of family. It's more like, hey, look, millennials are having less kids. That's a true thing.
Yeah. That's just true. Yeah.
That's just true.
And there's a lot of factors.
There's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah.
And one of those reasons is that millennials are looking at the impact of human beings on the globe and saying like, yeah, I don't know that I want to add to that environmental impact. She's only recognizing a phenomenon which occurs whether she puts a name to it or not.
Yeah.
But like the right seizes on that shit. But they only seize on it when it's like, you can't have any. Right? But like the opposite direction, no, man. Like you can have 1 trillion of them.
Yeah.
You can have go forth and multiply.
Yeah.
Be fruitful and multiply. Have 1 trillion kids and fill your fucking quiver and shoot kids at people or like out of your fucking Jesus murder hole or whatever. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's super fucking dishonest. It's super crazy dishonest. Like and I don't think anybody is suggesting that like we stop having humanity, right?
Yeah.
Nobody of any seriousness.
That's what they bring it to that stupid level though.
And and I don't think anybody is even suggesting that we don't replace the people currently, because that has drastic economic consequences. Like if the population, you can look at countries where that's happening, and there's massive economic consequences where population is on the decline. Like generally speaking, you have to replace yourself in order for somebody to, take your place in the economy that's created, unless they want the economy to shrink.
Sure. But
we're not there.
Yeah.
We're not there. We're not even close to there.
And also there's plenty of people that are still having plenty of children. It's not, and again, like you said, she's not saying don't do it.
Right. There's no admonition, only an explanation.
Yeah. And I can see why someone wouldn't. To be perfectly honest, with the dire reports that are coming out about this, and I know that the people who are against the climate change will say it's fake news, fake media, whatever. But the dire reports that are coming out, the amount of reports that are coming out that are saying it's very dire. Like I read one the other day, and I want to say it was in The Guardian or something. It was in a relatively, maybe Forbes or something. It was in one of these places where you're just like, that's not just like Bill's blog.
Right.
They're talking about how there's a good chance we could start running out of food by 2050. And you're just like, 2050 is close.
Around the corner.
That's close.
Yeah.
That's your kids are in their 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're your age now, and there's food crisis.
Yeah.
Food insecurity for your children.
Global food insecurity.
Something that you would never think would ever happen for your children might be happening for your children when they're your age.
Well, I will say this. There are 4 children in my family, and I would have, if knowing what I know now, if I were I wasn't purposeful about the family. So I would have 0 children.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am not convinced that the world, my children, I am actually convinced, let me rephrase it. I'm pretty well convinced that the world my children will grow up in will be worse than the world I grew up in almost every measurable way. I have very little optimism that the world that they will grow up in will be as good or better than the world I grew up in. I would not have children if I knew what I know now and were building purposefully a family. I would just not build one.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sure. And I can't see a moral argument on a personal level that would dissuade me from that.
That's heavy. But it's also one of those things that like I certainly think about, and I'm going to be in my 70s or 80s when this stuff is happening, right?
You're out.
I'm fucking Soylent Green at that point, right? I'm going to be I'm going to be a cracker. They're going to turn me into a fucking saltine to feed the rest of them.
You're already a cracker.
Yeah. It's so fair. It's so fair.
Like your skin.
Well, Tammy, while Jimmy was out there drugging and reaffirming his manhood, what exactly were you doing?
Well, you know, church lady, those nights just sort of blur together, don't they, honey? Jim would go out every night, and that's when I got addicted to all manner of flu pills, and I hallucinated cats out of the ceiling. I did, didn't I, honey? And sometimes their heads would vaporize and explode. And, yeah, and once it felt like someone shoved a bun cake ring down over my head. And the bun, right, honey? Yes. And the bun unbraided, and the filling rose up in flames, and all the raisins turned into demons. And I put my hands up, and I said, demonic raisins, I rebuke you.
Well, isn't that special?
This story comes from Right Wing Watch. Jim Bakker says Trump has been spiritually saved so many times since becoming president.
Times.
Amazing. I gotta say, I missed Jim Bakker.
I did
It's
too.
been a long time.
I did too. His weird little flesh-colored or gray-colored little microphone that sits like a fucking big wart on the side of his
I was
face.
gonna say, it looks like a fucking skin tumor.
It looks like a growth.
I love it.
Yeah, and then he's super orange, and his beard is weird, and like he's just a weird dude.
He does have some natty suits though. Like I like his suits.
I will say the guy is a well-dressed dude, except for when he
kills it.
Except for when he wears that hat. And he looks like such an old man with that hat on, or a young rapper, like either one.
All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God.
Do you realize what strength, and we call it guts, it takes to say what that man just said?
Does that take guts in a nation that's 70% Christian?
In a world that's 50% Republican?
Could you imagine?
Like, what guts does it take? That's why the people clap. It wasn't like a controversial thing he said. Like the Republicans have been like pro-life since there's been Republicans. That's not a surprising stand. Oh, what does the Republican have to say about abortion? Oh, well, I don't know. It could go either way, said nobody ever.
It's a coin flip with these Republicans.
Has he said anything out loud?
Who knows?
Well, he's Republican.
Yeah. We have no idea how Brett Kavanaugh's going to vote on the Supreme Court, do we? We don't have any idea. You know, it's funny to me because he says it takes guts. It takes guts to say something like that. To try to, it's this rushing to be the victim. It's this, gotta run as fast as I can to show everybody how much of a victim I am. And how
persecuted.
And how much courage it takes to say this stuff because it's against the majority opinion. And you're like, no, it's not. It's really not. I mean, look at all the states that have laws that push the boundaries on Roe v. Wade all the time. There's plenty of states out there that push the boundaries on that shit.
How can you be in charge because you won a popularity contest and then claim to be unpopular?
I know.
Everybody got together and said, we really, you know what? I choose you. 65, even though he didn't win the popular vote, 65 million people, or 62 rather,
62,
chose
yeah,
forgive
not 65. 65 was a different, that was a different candidate.
That was what they should have won.
Yeah.
Numerically. So, but like 62.
Only numerically.
Whatever.
I mean,
Only if you're counting votes.
Yeah.
Start doing that. It's crazy. 62 million people all agree with you. And you're like, now I know this is something you might not hear a lot. I'm probably 62 million people. Really? Like it makes me feel like that sort of shit is like, well, you know, it's going to take some guts to stand in front of here as the most powerful person on the on the country.
Yeah.
What guts does it take?
Mm-hmm.
presidents don't talk that way anymore because they have to.
They do every other time. Yeah. Every other president, we go RD. It's what you said. Like they all talk that way.
And hold on, what did exactly? I want to hear exactly what he said again because I now I'm having a hard time remembering. Let me just play this little piece.
All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're right. It is a flip because if he's saying all children born and unborn, because now you're bringing that unborn factor in. Although there are Democrats who are not for abortion. You know what I mean? Like there are definitely pro-life Democrats out there, especially from some states where there's some question. There's definitely some Democrats out there that are not pro-choice. You're right though, but it flip-flops, right? It's always a flip-flop. And if it's not him, it's somebody pretty high up there is going to be saying the exact same thing.
Right.
Whether or not you're sitting on the big high chair or the big high chair, it doesn't matter.
Like Congress has been pretty split down the middle for a long time, and the entire right side of the aisle is like, yeah, that's something we say all the time.
Yeah.
That's a standard talking point.
Say what that man just said. Mm-hmm. Presidents don't talk that way anymore because they have to appease everybody.
Right.
So no, they don't. No, they don't.
What are you talking about?
Shit, you could play a tape of the current nominee who was a nominee at the time talking about sexually assaulting someone and they like it when you do it.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So don't start telling me that you can't, give me a fucking break right now.
Well, I mean, you just have to go back to the last Republican president. Like George W. Bush talked that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like George W. Bush was a born-again Christian who brought that Christian worldview into many, many, many of his speeches. He spoke like this all the time.
Absolutely.
Then after that, we had a different president who was a Democrat who, you're right, did not speak like that.
Yeah.
Then we got you guys back, and now you speak like that. There's nothing, just literally nothing surprising about this. It's just your turn to speak
it's just your turn. Yeah.
Cold. But he wants to please God.
Yes.
Now, here's one thing I'm going to say about the president. He's not perfect. None of us are perfect.
I love how they have to couch this shit so much. They have to be, he's not, don't get crazy. He's not perfect.
And as soon as I say he's not perfect, that allows me to dismiss all of his many, 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 many flaws. Many flaws.
Yeah.
And then his many, 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 many peccadillos. He's the worst. And they can't even talk about him without addressing how bad he is.
No,
sideways.
every time. It's every time too.
It's like, can you imagine if you were like, here's my wife. Now she's, not quite perfect. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that unless you're like, I'm kind of embarrassed to be seen with you.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You don't say oh gosh, yeah, she's her hair is real stringy.
Yeah.
Who says that?
Right. Everybody drinks sometimes. So okay.
She is a bit gassy most of the time. She doesn't digest well. So
look, sweet as can be, we keep the feedback on so she doesn't get her hands dirty. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, for fuck's sake, you don't say mean shit.
I would never say that about somebody's wife while they were standing there.
No, not that size. No. Take a swing at you, not get it next Tuesday.
But he is being taught and mentored and prayed with more than probably any president in the history of the...
I'm sorry, but I love too that he's always this work in progress.
I know.
He's they praise this guy as being shitty but getting better.
Yeah, he's always getting better. He's got the 2-week coin from AA.
Right.
He's off the booze. Off the booze for 2 weeks. He's doing real good, man.
How was he in bed? It was awful, really. But I think he could get a little better. Okay.
He stopped. I stopped him. I smacked him on the head while he was humming while he was eating. He was singing his words. He was singing the ABCs while he did it. Oh,
it's so funny. These guys are the sycophants, and even the sycophants are like, okay, he's really bad. Yeah. Oh my God.
Although I gotta say though, of the people to sing this song, this is exactly his song, right? So everybody has problems. Once in a while, you know, might embezzle some money or something, you know, like this is the perfect guy to say some shit like this.
Right.
United States of America.
That's right.
When he flies, he has pastors with him. When he's in the White House, he has pastors with him.
He should just, you know what he should just do is just train them to be his Secret Service. So you just have a big chunky ass pastor, his Secret Service. It'd be great because that's a great bullet sheet.
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean? Like if they jump, the problem is the leap is tough, but when they get in front of you, like they could have like an AK, be like, dugga, 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 dugga. You're fine, man.
I emptied 3 clips into that
behind this mountain. I'm good.
I was thinking the same thing. It's like, yeah, he's got these pastors like, well, yeah, because he's using you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And you're too stupid, like, to recognize your complicity, or you're just happy to be used, you human condom. Are you kidding me? You're just a fucking walking reservoir tip.
I personally know people who have led him to Christ.
Yeah.
Wait.
I like that he didn't do it personally.
No, he didn't.
I personally have a girlfriend in Niagara Falls who once prayed with him.
I love too that they're just like they led him to Christ, like he's like some sort of horse, like he's he's an obstinate burro. You know,
you can lead a Christ to water, but you can't make him crucify. You know what I mean, guys?
Been saved so many times.
I love it.
That I'll tell you what, if it counts, he's got more numbers than anybody I know of.
That is a religious thing. That is something that's going to wash over us.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Okay.
That is because I have no idea what that means. And I don't think it's a misspeak. I think that's one of those like religious inside jokes that like non-religious people wouldn't know.
Oh, really?
I think so. And I will ask the audience, if you're religious, if that means anything to you, he has more numbers than anyone. I literally don't know what that means. Other than it sounds asinine or it sounds like he's having a stroke. If it does
blood pressure.
But I do think that this is one of those things that like this will always wash over us because we're not religious.
I was gonna say the only number I know that he has more than me is his cholesterol count, right?
His weight. Right.
Should you have to? This is a question too to our religious people. Like, do you have to get saved more than once? Like, how fucking bad does it have to be that your saving didn't take? Right? Where you're like, well, I'm going to need another one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
Saturday was weird.
Is it like sanding plaster off a wall? Like it needs to be done a couple of times to make sure it's smooth? Like,
are we down to the wood grain?
Yeah, exactly. You're changing the grit of the paper. You're just like, no, it's just not working.
The pastor's like, save him. Oh, God, he's still him.
Yeah.
Save him again. No.
Just wash him up.
Yeah.
They keep on dipping him in water. Yeah.
He's displacing all the Holy Spirit everywhere. Look at that.
And I'm serious. And I could name the people who prayed with him.
Yeah.
And
but I won't, because that keeps the mystery alive.
Hey, look, it's one of the divine mysteries. You'll never get to know these things.
honors God.
Yeah.
He lets them preachers come in and lay hands on him.
In the Oval Office. That's right.
And they...
I love that lady so much.
Nothing. Where he had it.
I love that lady. She's the best.
Him there.
Oh, she is the best.
Show me in the Oval Office where the preachers touched you.
Show me where you fisted the Oval Office.
Dude, you do not know James Robinson like I know James Robinson.
Wow.
He doesn't stop. He won't stop.
What if James Robinson was watching this show? Would he be insulted by that comment? Like, oh, no, actually, you know me pretty fucking well. Like, sometimes you'll finish my sentences for me. Oh, no, that's a fair statement.
No, yeah, like your wife. You finish those for her.
He has no fear.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so, and he is one.
He's like a pit bull. He's like a human pit bull. Doesn't have any. He's like a human crocodile. Doesn't have any fear, and he opens his mouth up really wide when he eats. He's like,
I feel like anybody without fear is a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, he's got no fear.
Yeah.
All right. What is he, a Marine?
All the time.
The Marines are going to kick my ass.
One day, Tom, you're going to run into the wrong Marine.
Know, right?
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and he is one of them that led the president to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
He's one of them.
Hallelujah.
But he's just one of them. But they were leading him and guiding him and preparing him, nurturing him through it all. And so,
Can I ask a question? So all this work needed to be done.
Yeah. He wasn't
right?
the perfect candidate initially.
Well, it doesn't even sound like he was Christian. They all had to make him Christian.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound like he was close.
Well, why'd they vote for him?
Yeah.
Before he was Christian.
Right.
Why did the Christians get behind the guy that's like, well, maybe he'll be Christian later.
Yeah.
Let's give it hell.
Exactly. It's like buying these guys are buying the worst house on the block and fixing it up. And that's not how you go about presidencies, right? That's how you flip houses. That's not how you go about presidencies at all.
What's that show? Like Flip It or Keep It or whatever?
Yeah, Love It or Leave It.
Yeah,
Love
leave it,
or
leave it,
yeah.
leave it.
Love it or flip it or whatever. I don't know.
Flip it or fuck it.
Flip it over and fuck it. It's one of those things.
So there is a Daniels company, and it's so big. This is probably one of the basic reasons why there's miracles coming out of the White House and why there's a miracle in America.
He says miracle like he's going to say miracle whip.
Miracle in America? I think there's America in America, but not a miracle in America. I think is he mispronouncing? Is he saying a miracle? And he's thinking he's saying America, like when people say warsh, is it like a mispronunciation?
What if there was like a miracle meerkat in America? Like
you got to hold your tongue while you say that.
Yes. Yeah, it should be a great encouragement to
and that's
those
why the
who are
world
praying.
hates him.
It should be a great encouragement.
This guy's job is to just bring the room down.
It should be a great encouragement to everyone. He does this thing with his teeth and his face. And just
he speaks like a bulldog chewing on peanut butter.
He sounds like when you put dubstep and you turn down all the treble. It's just like
I love too that like Jim Bakker's all like Pappy Baba. And the guy's like could you like what did you just wake him up?
Miracle in America.
Yes. Yeah, it should be a great encouragement to
and that's
those
why the
who are
world
praying.
hates him, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They hate him.
Yes. The church needs to rise up. The Daniel Company, I believe that's the success of Donald Trump is going to be credited to the intercessors, to the prophets, to this Daniel Company. And again, it's in every sphere of society. I really believe God is breathing on.
He pronounces everything weird.
He really does.
It's in every sphere of society.
He's going to rip his face off and be a fucking David Icke lizard person. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I'm watching the end of V right now.
He sounds like something like a translator, you know?
Sphere of society. I really believe God is breathing on Mike Pence. I was watching.
Ew, what?
Well, hey, I like breathing on him while I'm rubbing one out. So that's what I do. I just get up all close up on him. Like, you like this, Mike Pence? Do you like this? Do you like it when I touch myself?
Heath is busy masturbating the fucking ASMR god, like breathing on a Mike Pence.
ASMR hillbilly god.
Do you like this guy? Do you like it when I touch you, Mike Pence? I touch you.
ASMR
Say my name. Hold on, I gotta let my hound dog in.
Oh, it's amazing.
Your bush is beautiful. It's on fire. I love people who look like villains from a Bond movie. You got a burning bush.
He does look like a blonde Bond villain, though, doesn't he?
Mike Pence?
Yeah, like Whitefinger or something.
Yeah, Mike Pence always looks like bored
Yeah.
and surprised at the same time.
I said finger. He's not going to finger anybody.
No.
Who am I kidding?
Mother, come over here.
Mother, get yourself wet for me. Go in the bathroom and do your thing. Come out.
Dirty, sinful thing you do in there.
Him closely at the State of the Union address. I even believe that there's a possibility that Donald Trump is paving the way for an even more conservative 2024 Mike Pence run.
Wow.
I would not.
Oh my, yeah. I think he's paving the way for Mike Pence in the sense that he may be impeached.
Yeah.
Which will be.
Yeah, no, that's the best way to do it. He's landing this fucking plane.
Yeah, right?
That's what he's doing.
I love too that they're like so excited about the current president that they're like, and maybe we'll get somebody else later, guys.
Maybe we'll get another person who we don't have to pray over constantly because he sucks.
The past is like, I got 5 years so I can take a vacation. Jesus. 5 years. How many times do we have to save you? It's saving you every hour on the hour.
Mike Pence presidency is a fucking nightmare, though.
No, that's not a world I'll live
That's
in.
a nightmare. Yeah, I'm checking out too.
Well, no, I mean, we'll all die.
That's fine. I'm just going to go. Hopefully they didn't put that wall up so I could scale that fucker to get to Mexico.
Yeah, I'm not living in the Republic of Gilead. That's not going to fucking happen. No. So no, we aren't doing that.
Terrifying.
Not be surprised if God gave us a trumpet and then a double trumpet in 2000.
You can't even do a double trumpet in Indiana because of Mike Pence. What are you kidding me? You're not allowed to do that there anymore. That's like on the books. Like no double trumpets. Put your trumpets away. What are you kidding me?
24.
Wow.
Just things that I've been sensing inside of me.
I've been sensing that I'm very hungry too.
He's so weird.
He's such a sensing inside of me. This guy is like, I love this guy.
I can sense you inside of me.
Such a weird story.
I'm
the
not
whole
weird.
Thing,
You're weird.
The whole thing is weird, dude. Holy shit.
Do you like to fuck? Well, the guys at Cognitive Dissonance want to help you out. It doesn't matter if you fuck yourself, someone else, or lots of someone else's. Their sponsor, AdamandEve.com, has all kinds of things to make fucking more interesting and more fun. Right now at AdamandEve.com, if you type in Glory at checkout, you get 50% off almost any item, a free sex swing, and free shipping. AdamandEve.com. Treat your genitals to a good time.
All right, this story also from Right Wing Watch. Mark Taylor and Chris McDonald exposed the connection between Aurora. That's where I live.
They mentioned it too, Aurora, Illinois. They mentioned it. Yeah.
That's good. Wayne's World and me.
Yeah.
Between Aurora, Christian Bale, and the Illuminati.
Evidently, there was a mass shooting out there recently.
There was, yeah.
So that's what they're bringing up is the mass shooting.
Yeah. Not just that I lived there.
I apologize. The false flag. That's what they're bringing up. Not the mass shooting.
And for the record, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
All right. Stop.
Well, no, for the record, Tom, nobody did it. It's a false flag.
False flag. What does that mean? The shooting didn't happen, or they shot people and blamed the wrong guy?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I think it depends. Like you can have a false flag where the victims are like fake
news
victims, like victims. I don't know how that
victims.
Fictional victims, victims,
victims.
Fake
I like
fictional
that.
victims.
They're fan victims.
Right? Because that's like the Newtown.
No.
Thing, right? No kids, no, and that's the same thing as 9/11. Like no people were on the planes.
No victims. Zero victims.
Right.
So 0 victims is one option. What's the other option?
The other option is there's real victims, but the person who did it isn't the person, or their motivations as described.
Oh, so like
are not.
This is like the CIA came in and shot somebody and then patsied someone up.
Right.
Right. So
or,
I see.
Like somebody comes in and shoots people up, and is like, yay, Democrats, and, like shoots people up. And then they're like, oh, no, is this guy who is like,
yay, Republicans.
Trump, you know?
I see.
Right. Yeah. I think all of those would be different false flags.
Oh, wow.
It just depends on which brand of crazy you're consuming that day.
I'm curious what the emblems on what the heraldry on the flags would be for each one of those different false flags.
It's always don't tread on me.
It's always
no step on snacks.
It's always snacks. Whatever it is, it's a myriad of snacks. All right, so this is Mark Taylor chatting with a disembodied head about he's such a crazy looking guy with facial hair, which we just found out recently.
Yeah, we've been watching this guy. Yeah. We've been watching Chris McDonald for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Pretty regularly.
Totally had no idea he had facial
And until
hair.
he gets right up on the camera.
Had no idea. The whole time.
I wouldn't know from looking at this picture.
From looking at this picture, you can't tell that he has facial hair. And then he finally turns his head and you're just like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
Your face is sprouting things. All right, so here we go.
Looks like spores.
And everybody knows who Mark Taylor is. He's the firefighter prophet.
Yeah.
So
Mark, one thing that you wrote the other day, and you had a long talk about this too, because it's happening.
Is that a cold sore on this side? Because it's gross looking. It looks like he just got finished eating a chocolate bar.
I think it is. I think he needs like some fucking Valtrex or whatever.
He just ate someone's ass real quick. It's stuck on the side of his face.
I got to be on the show in 15 minutes. I'm just going to toss a little salad first.
Need to eat this ass real quick before I go out there.
No time to wash up. 3, 2, 1, we're live. covered in your ass.
You look like you're a little kid after Halloween. It's just all over your face.
He warned us last week or two, the group did, about false flags. And there's a lot of false flags going on right now in the country. And I want you to encourage people about this because a lot of people...
I want you to encourage people about this?
I do want you to encourage people. We should be encouraged about false flags. You know what I find encouraging?
That's the right word choice.
Not being able to trust that what happened is what happened.
Feels like the wrong word choice.
I think it is. Well, maybe there's some discernment that we can have.
We need to throw a couple more terms in here.
You know, I'm going to discern my encouragements.
Yeah. People, I looked at the shootings. We had our mutual friend, Tiffany Fitzhenry, on our program here the other night, and we were talking about Aurora. You had a shooting on Saturday last week of 10 people dying. You had, ironically, 2 days later in Aurora, Colorado, of all places, another shooting.
Was there two? There was one in Aurora, Colorado, and one in Aurora, Illinois, that close together?
Yeah, I don't know, but he got the date wrong for sure. It happened because I got a message that schools were on lockdown. So it wasn't on a Saturday. And I don't think 10 people died. I think 5 people died. I think he got everything about that wrong.
Okay.
Like all the... Yeah, so who knows if there was another...
Yeah, maybe he's
Aurora
talking about a
shooting.
different one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean... The problem is that I don't even think there's a Wikipedia page for mass shootings anymore because it'll just crash the internet. It's just like, we don't do that anymore.
There was 2 dead. And when you start looking at that and you look at the 2012 incident at the theater that James Earl Holmes basically shot it up, it was interesting to me that there was 12 people that got killed on July 20th of 12. If you add those numbers together, it comes to 12.
Wait, 12 people got killed, and if you add those numbers together, comes to 12. No shit.
Well, if you add 12 to 0,
that's
and
true.
then you carry the nothing.
But what does it have to do with July 12th or July 20th?
Well, no, yeah,
7
no, that makes
minus,
sense.
No, that doesn't do it.
On July 20th, that was a day.
That's a day.
And on that day, a 12 number happened. And then 7 years later, on a different unconnected day, 2 other events happened. And if you add those events up, then that also equals 12. I don't know why you're not following this, Cecil.
Is he saying 12 people were shot in a year that has 12, that is also a place that has hundreds of mass shootings a year?
Yeah. So you can go totally pixies choosies on this,
I mean, you have 365 days to choose one of your many mass shootings to equal 12.
Right. And I feel like we can do that as long as you're not picky about how many you choose, right? You could be like, I'll take 4 3s or 3 4s.
Yeah, right. You could just pick whatever you want.
Yeah, I can take
12
a 6, a 3, and a 3. Like
12 is kind of amazing in the sense that it's one of these great denominators, right? You can pick you can divide a lot of shit into 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
You got options.
Yeah.
You have options up to the middle of that number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, these elites are not dumb. They are not stupid. They plan this stuff years in advance, months in advance, but it's a false flag to get your attention off of the fact that...
Well, why do they have to make it all add up? Like none of this does add up because we fact checked some of this and none of the truths are facts in this at all.
Right.
But let's say that you were an elite and you're planning all this months or years in advance. Why are you like, okay, we got to plan all this up to sway public opinion about this? But also it has to add up to 12. Like whatever we do has to correlate to a number later or in the future.
Yeah, like you have to do it in a ritualistic way.
Right.
Like there's no way to do it without actually killing this number of people. Because I've got to leave like a weird CBS Numbers like clue line in order for some weird internet fat ass stuck in his basement smeared with Crisco digging on his computer to find, or else there's no way I can do it. Right. I'm stuck. I'm hemmed in on the sides. There's no way I can just go to Aurora and kill 8 people.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like,
I got to kill 12.
It's like, you're like, okay, we're going to do a shooting in 2012 and that's going to be in Aurora, Colorado. Now, 7 years later, we need a shooting. What number are we at?
Yeah.
7. We need 5 more.
Where are we at again?
In the, okay. Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
In advance, months in advance, but it's a false flag to get your attention off of the fact that President Trump's going after the deep state. And
hold on a second. So you have to plan this shit months and years in advance? hoping that at a certain day, you've planned it out already, hoping that President Trump's going to go after the deep state so you can then unleash your false flag? Well, how do you plan that months and years in advance if President Trump isn't also in on it?
Well, wait a minute. The first event was fucking 4 years before there was a President Trump.
Right.
Like Aurora, Colorado was in 2012. Like, yeah, okay. That's some fucking 11D chess,
that
right?
Really is.
That's
You're
like
doing some shit ahead of schedule. Those were people that might have supported Trump in the future.
Holy shit.
They had said, they put that on their Facebook post and all those people were murdered and they just all happen to live in Aurora, Colorado.
Right, yeah. I also feel like if there was one news story I could read ever by a credible source about the deep state, like one,
just
then I wouldn't be distracted from it.
Yeah.
I, as a consumer of news, would be like, oh, that's interesting. It came out in a newspaper you can buy with money, for example. Yeah. Like, could I get...
Like, you know what else is interesting about that, too? Is what does this distract us? How does this distract us? Because we literally forget about every single mass shooting. The moment someone mentions it, I just go, ha, and I shit the RAM out. If the RAM is flushed, the moment someone says there was a mass shooting today, I will forget instantly that it happened. It's never once changed public policy, not a single time. Even after all those Parkland kids went out and they got really big Twitter accounts and everybody's like, you guys are real big on Twitter. Look at what you're saying. It's changed nothing. Yeah. It's done nothing. Yeah. It's done zero for our entire, the entire population of the United States gained guns, not lost guns since then, right? So what the fuck is it doing? It's not distracting people from anything when there's mass shootings.
Well, it's distracting us from not using Twitter.
I can't. I seriously can't.
This is time we could be on Twitter, people. The last shooting happened in my town.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten about it until he said
You didn't know how many people were killed.
I don't care.
You literally did. And it's local to you.
Right.
It's local to you.
Super local.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, all right, yeah, one was bound to happen near me anyway.
Yeah. Like it's in a town of almost like 500,000 people or something like that. So it's, there's a lot of people that live there.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah. But I don't say that to be callous. Like, I don't know why I would care more about this one than a different one.
And it's just insane that they think that somehow, and this is something that has been brought up since we've been doing this show, that somehow these false flags are planted by the government and they do these mass shootings to try to stop us from having guns, to put gun control in place. There has been no real gun control legislation put forth by any party since we've been doing this show. I can't think of anything that's gone through except for the thing that the president did with the bump stocks.
Well, and I just read something today that the House is drafting legislation, and here's all that they want to do. That would just beef up the national security, beef up security checks so that it applied to people in all commercial gun sales, including basically closing the loopholes for private gun sales and gun sales at gun shows. That's the legislation. We should background check those guys too, is basically the legislation, right? That's it. And it faces stiff opposition. We can't agree that we should all maybe double check to see if someone's a criminal. Because you don't have to do that. I don't know if people are aware of that. And maybe people outside the states aren't. And even inside the states, I think there's a lot of confusion about that. Nobody knows you have a gun. You can go legally buy a gun right now and nobody in the whole world will ever know you have that gun. You're not required to apply for it if you don't buy it from a store. You just go to a gun show and buy it. Or if I just buy it from a guy that I find online on a forum online, which is a perfectly legal way to sell a gun. I can just go buy that gun. And the only thing that's required is that I bring cash. That's it. I can hand them money.
Sure.
They hand me a gun.
Sure.
I walk home. Yeah. Nobody knows I own it.
Now, I know that I will say that I know that a lot of people say that sort of thing it doesn't happen for people who use those guns in these mass shootings and stuff. They always talk about that stuff. They always say oh, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen to people who go out and commit crimes or do this sort of
thing. Those are typically purchased through legal means. But to your point about how we're not fixing anything, even closing the loophole,
that tiny loophole,
right? We can't agree to do that.
Yeah.
We can't. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy that we can't even agree that that's a good idea for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's stiff. It's not going to pass.
Yeah.
The House is going to go, it'll never get through the Senate. It'll never get through the president. It's not, it's a make a show bill.
Yeah.
That's all it is. We can't even agree that like, hey, maybe we shouldn't give criminals and people who beat their wives guns. Maybe we could give them some guns.
Yeah,
like,
we can do some. We've got to sell them.
like
We've got all
nice
these
ones.
guns.
Yeah,
we got to sell them. What am I going to do?
Guns for them. It's not to sell them to people.
Got to attach them to a car and shoot them all at once to drive down the road or something.
You had some interesting insight to Christian Bale because this ties into him because ironically, the movie that was playing during that theater incident was The Dark Knight, who Christian Bale played Batman.
Oh my God, are we doing 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon?
This is going to be amazing.
Is that what we're doing right now?
I am like halfway there.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bale.
This is so great. Okay, so here we go.
Okay. So
down the fucking crazy.
So Christian Bale was in The Dark Knight.
You think he's going to go Knight or Christian Bale? What direction does he turn?
So he's going to go Christian Bale. So Christian Bale was in The Dark Knight. Christian Bale was also in Empire of the Sun. Trump is orange and is running an empire. So it's I don't know where else to go with it. But
Christian Bale offered his praise to Satan here a few months ago for his.
Yeah, do you remember that when he played one of those guys in that new movie, the VP movie or whatever it is?
But he was kidding. It was a
They
joke.
don't think he's kidding. They don't think these people do not think he was kidding. But they don't see that as commentary on the people he was playing, right? Because that's what it was. It was commentary on the people. Because Christian Bale clearly doesn't like these people.
No,
they ruined the entire world for all future generations and snuffed out many future generations in Iraq.
Right.
And he recognizes that. And so he says, I want to give praise to Satan in response to the role he played, which is obvious to anyone else who ever thought any thoughts.
Oh my
God.
God.
They don't think so. They think he is literally giving praise to Satan. They think he is openly and literally giving praise to Satan.
I genuinely didn't know that. They think that the thought process is that like he stood up and was like, because as Satan like in the crowd, like, that was me by proxy. That's my boy. Way to act in a movie.
Somehow Satan gave him some tools.
I'm the father of lies. Who better to teach you to act? It's like Al Pacino and fucking Devil's Advocate.
I'm a fan of man. Oh, God.
That last scene, he fucking is still chewing it. He chews the last scene of Devil's Advocate like it's fucking cut. It's oh my God.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But he does a great job.
He really
does.
He's
really good in that movie. But it's a terrible movie.
Oh.
It's a really dumb, terrible movie.
Yes.
It's not even like a good, like, quasi-suspenseful movie. Like, it's bad. And Keanu Reeves is bad in it. Really bad in
Which
it.
I think is because I think Keanu Reeves is actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's bad in that.
Right.
And his accent's all over the place. He sounds so terrible.
It has to be a horrifyingly directed movie.
I think you're probably right. But you can't, like Pacino, just so good. that he's so good. He's so good.
His success. But you saw something in that name even, Christian Bale. Explain to our audience a little bit how you...
Okay, you don't have to explain it. Everybody knows Bale. Like Baal, Bale, Bale.
Okay, I was going to go, he bailed on being a Christian.
And then he's going to need to bail out the lake of fire because he's in the lake of fire. He's got to bail it out. I get it. I get it.
About that.
Well, it's no coincidence that you had Aurora, Illinois and Aurora, Colorado. Okay.
No, I don't know that it's a coincidence, but I mean, it's a pretty common name.
Yeah, I think
how many Auroras are there in the United States,
way ahead of you, buddy. I'm already on it, big guy. Hold on. There are 28 cities in America named Aurora. 5 in the Philippines, in case you were wondering.
28 cities.
28 cities.
And all of them are both in Colorado or Illinois. There's 14 Aurora, Illinois.
Oh, my God.
28 cities. 28 cities. Oh,
so, yeah.
Okay, so...
Well, the coincidences. No, there are no coincidences. Yeah. Said an idiot.
Yeah, we know how these elites work. You've had people on here explaining how it works, how the numbers work, this, that, and the other. Well, Aurora, I guess, is the name of a Roman goddess.
It is.
So, it's also the name of, like, the Northern Lights.
Shh.
Yeah.
No. It's also the name of 28 cities.
It's also the name of like a car.
And so now you look back at Aurora, Colorado. What was the movie that was playing at the time in that theater? It was The Dark Knight. And who starred in that was Christian Bale. Now, Christian Bale, just like you said, just gave his allegiance to Satan, thanking him at the Golden Globes or whatever that was. And so when you look at the name Christian Bale, it's an oxymoron. Christian and Bale.
Right.
It's like, so it's like, okay, I don't know if that's his.
Because Bale is
Bale, Bale of hay.
B-A-A-L.
Oh, the other Bale.
How I would say ball.
Right, yeah.
He drops his balls on them.
God-given name, or if that's his Hollywood name. I have no clue. But I mean, so there's no coincidences of where these things are going down. It's no different than the Pulse nightclub shooting that went down in Orlando. Shooting went down. The Bilderbergs were meeting that week. And that's when the Lord was showing me that
The Bitburgers were meeting that week?
The Golden Burgers.
Ah, the Golden Burgers.
Delicious.
Oh, I'm getting hungry again. You want to order a Golden Burger? Is that what he said?
So there's no coincidences of where these things are going down. It's no different than the Pulse nightclub shooting that went down in Orlando. When that shooting went down, the Bilderbergs were meeting that week. And that's when the Lord was showing me that
I know, the Build-A-Bears. I don't know what he said there.
That's what you call them up and you're like, can you put I love you on the chest so I can send it to her?
The Bugaboos, the Jabberwockies were meeting, whatever. He is, what are you fucking saying, you lunatic?
Taking direct orders from the Illuminati, basically. And that's why that shooting...
What are we in? What are we in? How deep are we in on this? This is 2:30 hits Illuminati. We've already jumped to plaid here.
Direct orders from the Illuminati, like chicken wings.
Yeah.
Place is to take all eyes off of what was going on. They were trying to basically, capture the pulse of the nation, change the pulse of the nation, if you will, by that shooting. You know what I mean? So,
Pulse nightclub.
I think that's these guys went out of their way to market their mass shooting. Well, I think they did a good job. They probably hit social media pretty hard with it ahead of time.
I like that it's like, well, they're going to change the pulse of the nation. Yeah, it's going to make it race with fear.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's not changing the minds.
No, it doesn't do anything for the minds.
Pulse is a bad analogy for you to be making. Like, your pulse would slow if you were calm. It would raise if you were fearful. But, like, it would not make us think differently about anything. It wouldn't even make us feel differently. Our pulse doesn't control our emotions.
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, my God, I changed your... Yeah. Hey, how do you feel about that? Well, I changed my pulse about it.
Hold on, though. How do you explain runner's high? Come on now.
I think that's lying. That's what I think.
I do too. I fucking do too. Fuck those people.
Well, I got this great high after running.
No, you didn't.
No,
you didn't.
No, you gasped and you fucking put your hands on your knees and you went, oh God, and then maybe you grabbed your side a little.
Stitch in your side.
Fuck
this.
God, why the
whole time you're doing it, you're just like, I hate this so much.
Right.
I hate everybody around me. You want to punch a dog as it's running past you.
This is so weird, but it's both boring and occupying all of my thoughts with hate while I do it.
I mean, all these things are happening. I noticed also Q posted in the morning, said, watch for false flags in the next 10 days. If you see something, say something. Well, it wasn't even 6 hours later, brother, that shooting happened. Back there it was. So, I mean, you're seeing...
Well, okay, so he says, watch for false flags in the next 10 days. I don't know that we go stretches of 10 days without shootings.
A mass shooting?
I don't think we go 10 days.
No.
So it's a super easy bet.
Yeah, right. That's like being in Afghanistan and being like, watch for false flags and like looking for IEDs. You're like, yeah, they're going off like fireworks. Yeah. It's just like they go off and you're like, ooh, like that's who cares?
You take your kids there. Yeah. They complain they want to leave early.
Yeah, it's like, I brought you here. We got a picnic blanket.
Fight our way out here just next to the IED so it could go off right next to you.
Covered in fucking mosquitoes. And you don't even give a shit.
Seeing this stuff, again, this is we are in World War III. It's nothing to be afraid about. We're in World War III, but you just...
Doesn't that tell you something about your war?
Yeah.
Like where you're just like, oh, we don't have to be afraid of it. I was afraid of the Cold War. You kidding me?
Right?
I'm afraid of a cold sore. Fuck you.
Just have to keep your head on a swivel, be prayed up, cover yourself in the armor of God.
Prayed up.
Put blankets over your head like Bird Box.
just constantly walking into walls and shit. Fuck. Who put the hassock here?
And, do the warfare before you leave the house. While you're
Do the warfare. Okay, everybody. Do the warfare. You're an idiot.
After you do the sex, then you do the warfare. No, actually, you do it beforehand so you could have makeup sex.
Oh,
that's where you do it.
That's good.
You do the makeup sex.
Hateful, angry warfare sex.
You're at your house, whatever the case may be. Cover yourself in the blood of Jesus.
Because it's a fucking blood cult. That's why. Because you're a fucking weird, fucking ancient religion blood cult. And you guys absolutely admit it and don't even notice it.
I know. It's so funny. It's so
It's fucking true, man.
Well, you got to
cover
pray.
yourself. You gotta douse yourself in the blood of Jesus.
Everybody, we're going to pray to our war God now. Okay, that's out loud. We said that.
Got to pray to our blood God. It's Wesley Snipes from Blade.
When they have toiled and they can't find any cure to HIV, and they come to the church and you lay hands and they start walking, they will see power. They will all run to the house of God. For the Bible says, in the last days, all shall run. All shall run. They will run. They will come.
All right, this story comes from the BBC News. South Africa funeral firm to sue pastor for resurrection stunt.
My favorite photos. This photo is the best.
I only grabbed this story because like crazy shit happens like this in Africa all the time. But this story I grabbed because the picture is this very surprised looking guy.
Okay, you have to go see this picture because he looks like Bill Cosby after he had a pudding pop. I don't even know that's racist, but it's amazing.
He's like, there's like a trillion people gather around him, and there's like Pastor McLazarus or whatever, like standing there. They look,
they brought him back
straight up, like, whoa!
He's got a screamy face. It is seriously, it's amazing.
It's bigger than you think, Dad. It's bigger than you think.
You should see this. It's so great. Well, basically, they went out of their way to like have a stunt that is clearly a stunt. And my favorite part is that all three of the companies, so he got a bunch of different funeral companies to help out, and all three of them are like, that was such a stunt, you fucker. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this week. We'll be back next week with patrons, and we will be back with a brand new, fresh show. But we are going to leave you, like we always do, with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, water downward spiral, brain deadpan, sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.